Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday night loving kindness class. My name is Alex. It's wonderful to be here with you this evening. Today is Wednesday, December the 2nd, and Merry Christmas to everybody if you celebrate Christmas. So I am in the holiday spirit. And I hope you're getting into the holiday spirit too. What else do I want to say? I don't know. Usually, I was sitting here just a couple of minutes beforehand, as I usually do, and I was thinking about, Alex, you didn't really think about what you wanted to say today, and I still don't know what I want to say today, but maybe, hey, sometimes that's good. But I'm in a good mood. I hope you're doing okay. I know sometimes the holidays can bring out a little sadness in people, and especially with COVID, it could be worse. And so, I want to be sensitive to that as well. But I happen to be in a good mood today, and maybe that'll rub off. All right. If you are here for the first time, if this is your first time to the Dharma Bum Temple online class, say something. There's a little chat box. You can say hi, let me know where you're from, let me know what your name is, let me know whatever you want to let me know. All of those things are perfectly fine. Especially if you're new, I'd like to know where you're from, especially if you're from outside of San Diego County. I always always kind of tickles me when I find out there's someone from outside San Diego County, maybe in the Bay Area. We had Hungary once, and so, so let me know. If you're not new, if you've been here before, also say hello. I still want to know if you're around and what you're doing. Again, this helps me engage with you. As I say all the time, I'm just sitting here looking at a camera. It's very cold and unfeeling with not a lot of emotions. And of course, I have the amazing Travis here as well, so it's not all bad. Yeah, to help me engage with you, say hi. I would love to hear from you. And also, after we do the meditation, we're going to have a question and answer section. And if you have any questions, you can save it for then. Maybe you don't have any questions now, but you will later. So whether you have them now or later, just think about them and, type them into the chat box when it's time, like just after the meditation, and we'll get to them. And these questions, they really help me understand what's going on with you. Just because I'm in a good mood, it doesn't mean that you necessarily are. And if you're not and you're just not, that's perfectly fine. If you want to share that, that's also perfectly fine. But I kind of am. All right. Travis, did anyone say hi yet?
Yes.
Oh my God.
They're talkative today.
Wow.
So Jeffrey said, hello, I've been here before. I've watched Jeff as well.
Nice. Hi, Jeffrey. Nice to have you with us.
And then Jennifer said, hi, Alex. Me and Meatball are ready to meditate.
Hi, Jen Meatball.
Jean said, hi, Alex from San Diego. Glad to be here tonight.
Hi, Jean.
Brian said, hello, I am also in University Heights.
Nice.
And then Jeremy said, hi, Alex, sitting not too far away in University Heights.
Nice. Brian, Jeremy, hello to both of you. That makes me feel good. Okay, so there are people out there listening. Makes me happy, which will serve everyone well as we go into this meditation on loving kindness. For those of you who are new or newer, or as a reminder for those of you who are not, the word we talk about in Buddhist circles is this word called metta, M-E-T-T-A. And this wonderful ancient word metta, when translated into English 2,500 years later, can mean a lot of things. It could mean loving kindness, unconditional friendliness. A wonderful translation is also goodwill. just having goodwill for somebody. You can have goodwill for anybody, even for people who you don't like. So it's wishing somebody happiness, but more than that, it's wishing that these people do the things that cause happiness. And if you've been around Buddhism for any length of time, hopefully you kind of understand what causes happiness. And if you don't, I'm going to tell you. What causes happiness are our positive and well-intentioned thoughts, words, and deeds. So think good thoughts, think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. That's the motto of the Dharma Bum Temple, and that's basically Buddhism in a nutshell. Be a good person, do good, and you're probably going to be okay. So just do those things. It's really, really simple, but not always really, really easy, which is why we have these wonderful practices like this practice of loving kindness to really help us in our practice. And the reason as I go along and I keep on doing this practice, I like this practice of loving kindness more, and I tend to do it more, and I tend to think about it more because I see how it works, and I see that it works. I see that when I get down on myself, because I have a lot of this, internal, discursive thoughts going on in my head, just like most of us do. And when they get really negative and really dark and really self-critical, I can always stop and just take a couple of deep breaths, or I can stop and I can say and think to myself, that's okay. These thoughts aren't real. Or something like that, to get myself out of these thoughts, because I'm attaching to these thoughts, I'm attaching to this negativity, and it's causing suffering. And again, if you've been around Buddhism for any length of time, you know that we want to lessen our suffering, not increase it. And that the problem that everybody has, whether you're rich or poor, or white or black, or gay or straight, or whatever it is that you might be, is this problem of suffering. Everyone has this problem, right? That's the problem that the Buddha described in the First Noble Truth. That there is suffering, and that suffering exists in this world. And we spend the entirety of our practice fully understanding this so that we can fully free ourselves from it, right? And loving kindness, this practice that we're going to do in just a minute here, is a wonderful antidote for a lot of this kind of self-hatred and self-denigration to ourselves and to others. Right? So we are going to do this wonderful practice of loving kindness, of metta. So hopefully this will alleviate any pain or discomfort that we may be in today. All right. And so let's get into our position, whether you're sitting on a meditation mat, whether you're sitting in a chair like I am, whether you're sitting at the end of your bed or cross-legged on your bed or on the floor or wherever you are. Just make sure you have that nice, solid, comfortable, sustainable position so you're not likely to move around too much. Make sure you're nice and comfy, but alert and awake. We don't want to be drifting off to sleep like I kind of was, like on the way here, because I had the heat on too high. All right. And just, before we start, let's think of, instead of let's not think of that. Let's just relax, and whatever we were worried about before we came here, to the best of our ability, let's drop that. You can think about it later. You can pick it up later if you want to. That's fine. But just relax. Let's make sure our back is nice and straight and upright and ready for this meditation. Here we go. Just allow your eyes to close. Just dropping whatever cares that we have when we came into meditation. As we try to develop this attitude of no struggle. We don't want to struggle with our problems. We don't want to struggle with our posture. We don't want to struggle with anything. Not the instructions, not with any discomfort that we might be feeling. And when we sit in this posture of meditation, we sit like a Buddha. And we can even imagine ourselves as the Buddha, or as a Buddha, sitting underneath the Bodhi tree of enlightenment. Or you can pick your own tree of enlightenment as you're a different Buddha. You can pick the oak tree of enlightenment, the eucalyptus tree of enlightenment, the ficus tree of enlightenment. Whatever tree that you like. And you can imagine yourself sitting underneath there, calm, alert, ardent, ready for this wonderful contemplation and practice of metta, of loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, and goodwill. So at first, let's just take a deep breath all the way in and all the way out. At first, not forcing the breath, letting it be quite easy and quite natural. Not struggling with whatever I'm saying. Just let these words just kind of wash over you. And just follow the breath all the way in and all the way out. And you can focus on the breath at the base of the nostrils, feeling the air go in and out, or focus on the belly or the chest, feeling its expansion and contraction as you breathe. So just having this awareness of the breath at all times. So with no struggle, let's just rest for the next couple of minutes in the sensations of the breath. And so to begin our practice of metta, of loving kindness and goodwill, we're going to call to mind a benefactor. And a benefactor, or it's also called just a loved one, is anyone who has shown us great love or great kindness. Someone it's really easy to have these feelings for. You just think of this person and your heart grows and it gets warmer. They've meant so much to you. And just like you wish for yourself, they wish loving kindness for them. They just want to be happy just like you. And in gratitude for all that they've done for you, you wish them loving kindness. And to do this, you just have to radiate loving kindness to them in however you understand that word radiate. I like to imagine a beam of loving kindness going from my heart to theirs. And this beam is there's different colors and it's warm and it's slightly pulsing and it, not only warms my heart, but it warms theirs. And you can picture them smiling as you deliver this wonderfully warm beam of loving kindness to their heart from yours. And you can smile if you want to kind of amplify everything. So just for the next few moments, we'll do this practice of loving kindness for our benefactor. And now, shifting our focus just a little bit from doing this practice for our benefactor to now imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. Our benefactor is our benefactor for a reason, because they've shown us great love and care, so they must love and care for us. That's not a difficult, that's not a stretch, that's very easy to imagine. Of course they do. And now we're going to imagine our benefactor radiating the same beam of loving kindness from their heart to yours. And it even helps sometimes to put your hand over your heart, just to listen for this loving kindness from your benefactor, to see if there's any resistance, any part of you saying, no, I can't take this in. And if that resistance is there, that's okay. Just let it be there. Can you then just breathe in a little more deeply? Allow yourself to take more of that in. And of course, smile. It always helps. So now we'll imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. And now, to arguably the most important part of this meditation is doing this practice for yourself. So we're going to do this practice for ourselves. At first, just calling to mind our own wish to be happy, our own wish to be healthy, to be free from danger, free from uncertainty, free from harm, our wish to be happy. And we can either say phrases of loving kindness for ourselves, like repeating them like a mantra, like, may I be happy, may I be safe. Or just turn that beam of loving kindness onto your own heart. Make your own heart shine and get bigger and get warmer. However you can experience that feeling of loving kindness in your own heart. That's the important thing. So now we'll do this practice of loving kindness for ourselves. And again, smile. And now finally, with the understanding that our heart has this limitless capacity, especially if we can feel that loving kindness in our own heart, if we can experience that for ourselves, this loving kindness naturally will outflow. And there's no limit to how far it can go. So we do this practice for all beings in all directions, whatever beings there may be, wherever they may reside. This whole galaxy and this whole universe. May all beings be happy. So just radiating as far out as you can. And we'll do this to end our practice. So just open your eyes when you're ready. And just take the next 60 seconds out in silence as you stretch your arms and you stretch your legs. If you have a question, this would be a really good time to type it into the chat box and hit enter so we can talk about it. And it could be a question, it could be your experience of meditation, a question on the instructions, a question about Buddhism, whatever it is, it's okay. And we'll begin. So while you're all collecting yourselves, and if you have a question, thinking about your question and typing it in, we'll talk a little bit about my experience of meditation, which is really interesting. So when we were doing the last part where we were just extending loving kindness to all beings in all directions, I was extending my loving kindness to all octopuses. And the reason I was doing that was because just a couple of days ago, I saw that documentary on Netflix called My Octopus Teacher. Have you seen it? No. And it was wonderful, and I knew about it, but I kind of put off watching it because I understand the lifespan of an octopus. So, I'm like, oh, do I really want to watch this? And but I did, and it was wonderful. And it was the story of a man he's a documentary and nature filmmaker in South Africa, and he's just super burnt out. He's just super burnt out and questioning life and what's it all about. And there's this cove along the coast that he likes to go to do some nature diving. And so he would do this nature diving just with a snorkel. And he's just not even in a wetsuit. He's just in board shorts and some weights and other things around his waist. Just out there and just snorkeling and looking at whatever he's looking at, and he comes across this octopus. And he has this idea in his head that he really wants to get to know this octopus, and it takes him a really long time. A young octopus of keeping on going down there, dive after dive after dive. And again, he doesn't have any scuba gear on, right? Just a snorkel, and so he can't hold his breath forever. And so he gets to know the octopus, and this whole documentary talks about his life with this octopus and the things about life that this relationship with this octopus teaches him. And it's truly wonderful, and I'm really glad that I watched it. And so it was really funny that, as we were doing loving kindness for all beings, I just decided to focus on all octopuses, or all octopi. So that was my experience, and I think it was really, really good. So I was thinking about that. It was kind of making me just kind of get, not emotional, but maybe emotional. Maybe that was it. But I loved it. It was really good. So if you get a chance to check it out, please do. It's a wonderful documentary on Netflix called My Octopus Teacher. See, there are good things on Netflix. Plus, I finished watching The Queen's Gambit and Watchmen, and so it's time for something new. All right, so Travis, do we have anything?
We have Jennifer said, yes, I love my octopus teacher.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad you love your octopus teacher. And was that it?
That was it.
That was it. Okay. And so I'm not going to talk about it just because I want you to watch it, other than Jen has already seen it. But there's a cartoon that I saw that's kind of related to this, and this cartoon is a while ago. Maybe you've seen it too, and there's these Tibetan monks, these 3 Tibetan monks, like in a little circle, and one of them goes, and then he says, "You only live once," and they start uproariously laughing. It's because in Buddhism, we believe in rebirth, so you have many lifetimes. But really, with that kind of YOLO, that you only live once, what we really mean is you only live this life once. And so in Buddhism, we say you only live this life once, and so you have to make the best of this life, whatever life throws at you. This is your life, and so what are you going to do with this life? I think especially, without giving away lots of spoilers or anything like that, is like all these animals in the animal world, they have their natural lifespan, and these animals, they just live their life. And in a way, they're lucky. They don't have to worry about school and going to college and getting a job and getting married and doing all these things that we stress out about in our own lives. They just live their life. They're always just kind of, in the moment. There's not a lot of discursive thoughts going on with these animals. They just live their life. And I think that's just one of the main kind of takeaways of this documentary, just that you have this one life, and what are you going to do with it? Are you going to let yourself get stressed out for no reason just because you're working too hard? Ugh. And, I think the lesson, especially in a pandemic, when it's so easy to get bogged down with difficult thoughts, especially if you have a lot of food insecurity or job insecurity, which I know a lot of people do. It's going to end pretty soon, hopefully, not, whatever this is, bamboo. But, this is just this, we're going to look back on this a few years from now and just say, this was just one part of life. It was a difficult part, but this is just one part of life. And I think, we as humans, we just get too bogged down with our stuff. And we talk about this a lot in our Buddhist practice, which is one of the reasons why we practice loving kindness, to get ourselves out of that, to help ourselves enjoy life and be appreciative of this one life that we have. Somebody have something? No? Oh, okay. Travis was looking at me. He was making a face. But maybe not. But yeah, I think about that a lot. Especially when there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of change, which are the two things that we humans just do not like at all. We like our, everyone talks about, oh, I just want to get back to normal. Why do you want to get back to normal? Normal sucked. You were suffering in normal, but you just want to get back to your regular suffering rather than this suffering? I'm thinking about all this stuff, and it's like, I thought that was just really, really just kind of interesting, because it's unlikely the life we're going to go back to is going to be like the life we left. A lot of things have changed, and they're going to stay changed. Although, yes, I want to hug people again. I have this urge to just make out with people a lot, because I haven't been able to do any of that at all as I've been home by myself. But I'll just start with hugging first. And all of these, actually, I'll just leave it at that. So we have the chat box. Hopefully you have something to say or something to ask. What do we got, Travis?
Brian asked
Brian,
if you can square up the circle of reincarnation and no self.
yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about no self. And that's the doctrine of anatta. And in my school of Buddhism, we don't say no self because no self seems really nihilistic. Like, no. Like, there's these, the Buddha said, okay, there's these two extremes. One is eternalism, one is nihilism. And he kind of rejected both of those things. Or he didn't ascribe to any of these two extremes. He said go in the middle, and there's something in the middle. And so no self doesn't mean there's not a self. But he's not saying there is a self. He's not saying any of those two things. And he's doing that. And this is one of the things that Jeff talks about, and is one of the most amazing, probably one of the top 3 takeaways of his teachings is that, and let me see if I get this right, because I wasn't expecting this question, but thank you for asking the question, Brian. So he's talking about this doctrine of anatta, and he says that it's not a metaphysical tenet. It's not a metaphysical law, right? It's just a strategy for liberation. It's just a strategy to help you let go, right? It's a strategy of letting go of, because there's this eternalism, or, a lot of us come from traditional religion, like I come from Catholicism, for example. And so there's a lot of, you better just effing do this or else. Or else you're going to hell, or else we're going to purgatory, or else all these horrible things. So we're going to control you by making you do all of these things. And they invented the devil, just for that purpose. And so, and then there's nihilists who say there's absolutely nothing. You're dead. You're just rotting flesh, and there's nothing after you die. And the Buddha saying, well, no. There's something else, and he doesn't really say exactly what that is. He does say that you live many lifetimes, but he doesn't say that you have a soul. And so a lot of these people, ask about, well, then what gets reincarnated? So it's a very, very confusing topic. And the Buddha doesn't really address that. He doesn't say that there's a soul that gets reincarnated or anything like that. He says that there's, there's just rebirth that happens. And it gets, very, very much more in-depth and complicated. And in Travis's class, you talk about that, don't you, sometimes, or no?
Sometimes, like dependent origination.
Dependent origination, because we talk about it in terms of, dependent origination. And this idea of, so instead of saying no self, let's just say not self. It's not self, right? It's just a way to, it's a strategy for liberation to end your suffering. Because, what suffers is like this false sense of self. Right. So I wish I could, if I was more prepared for that question, I'd probably have a better answer. But and I could talk about dependent origination some, but hopefully that'll tide you over for now. So this idea of not self is simply, it's not a metaphysical law that there's no self. It's simply just a strategy for liberation. It's a strategy for you to let go of all this crap that you're holding on to that's making you suffer. That's a great question. Oh, I love these good questions.
So Jeremy asked, Shinru Suzuki says, strictly speaking, between I myself yesterday and I myself in this moment, there is no connection whatsoever. Can you speak to how that connects to our karma?
So Shinru Suzuki is from the Zen tradition. Don't know a lot about Zen tradition. They're wonderfully wise, of course. So I will say this, and I don't know if this addresses your question or not, Jeremy, is that our actions, our intentional actions, which is what karma is, are the only things we take with us. The only things that matter. Our job doesn't matter. Our family doesn't matter. The Chargers don't matter. The Padres don't matter. Our actions are the only things that matter, the only things that we take with us, because that is our karma. Right? That is our karma. And it doesn't matter what we did 10 minutes ago. It's what we do now that matters. Right? So when thinking about this, and the reason why we put so much attention on what's going on right now in the present moment is because our present, some people take this kind of, again, nihilistic view that says everything that's happening to me right now, I have no control over because it's just my karma. I have no control. I'm just like this receptacle of crap that's coming at me. That's my karma, because that's how they tend to look at karma, right? It's like this retribution of the horrible stuff, right? And that we have no control over that. But the Buddha never taught that. The Buddha taught that our present moment is shaped by our past, partly by our past, yes, but partly by our present. We can shape our present right now by our actions, our thoughts, our deeds. Our thoughts, our words, our deeds. Sorry. Think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. All right? Thoughts, words, and deeds. Those shape our present actions. They shape a lot of our present moment. Yes, a lot of it is our past karma, and a lot of times it's not terribly pleasant. And our future is also shaped by our present. So if we want a good future, then we worry about our present. Because we can't do anything about the past. Our past is just our past. But if we worry about the present, our future is going to be a lot better. And even like 10 minutes from now, it's not going to be, I can't go back and change what I just said, right? What I'm saying right now. I need to focus on what I'm doing, whenever that time comes. So karma is really important like that, because we take normally a very nihilistic view of karma. All these bad things are happening to me. Oh, it's my karma. Well, your karma is also shaped by your present attitudes, by your present actions, by your present thoughts. That's why meditation is so important. That's why this practice of loving kindness is so important. And I just read this today, and I was talking about this a few weeks ago, and so I'll talk about it again. The question was posed that, if I have a negative thought that comes into my head, and we all have negative thoughts that comes into our head, right, all the time. If I have a negative thought that comes into my head, is that bad karma? Is that like my present karma? No, that's your past karma. That's your past coming into it. Your reaction to it will be your present karma. So you have these negative thoughts and you meet it with loving kindness. Loving kindness will be your karma. which is why we have to meet as much things as possible with metta. And why we have to be on guard all the time. Right? Like the Buddha said, nothing can hurt you as much as your own thoughts unguarded. And I have absolutely no idea if that even answers your question, but that's my answer. I hope that helped. Sometimes I just go off. I just kind of go off. Is there anything else? Did anyone else say hi? Nope. That's okay. It's 7:59. We can go now. Oh my God, you guys, that was good. All right. Thank you for coming. It was wonderful to have you here. Let's join our palms together and our hearts, please. And may the benefits of this meditation, this discussion, be received by all beings. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that you are. Thank you for coming. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week. See you later. Bye.